Many years ago, I did a video talking about the Bushmaster ACR, which I'm holding here. This is my original rifle, and I compared it to the FN Scar 16S. At the end of that series, I can't remember if it was one video or multiple videos, but I came to the conclusion I enjoyed shooting my ACR more than I enjoyed shooting my Scar. Now things have changed a little bit, and I wanted to do an update video because Jason recently picked up a new ACR pistol, and he's had some pretty interesting problems with it. It seems that the quality has changed between the Windham made guns and the current manufactured guns from a different facility. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. It's a little bit of a cautionary tale because this isn't the first new ACR that we've handled or used that had oddball problems, and this one's been plagued from the start. Now, the rifle I'm holding here is marked Bushmaster Firearms, but it says Windham ME. You can see that right here on the side of the receiver. This rifle has been solid. Had no problems with screws backing out, barrels coming loose, extractors not working, parts missing out of the box. This thing has been an outstanding rifle. I stand by my assessment that this particular rifle I enjoy shooting more than my Scar 16. So let's talk about this newly manufactured ACR pistol from Bushmaster and show you some of the problems that Jason has had with this gun. And yeah, it might make you think twice about picking up a new one, especially at the price that they're asking. And if you do, look it over very closely. Personally, based upon what I've seen with this particular pistol and Remington's history, which is basically who's manufacturing them now, their history recently of poor quality control, yeah. So anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video with that. But let's start off by shooting this early Bushmaster Windham made gun, which, like I said, to this day is one of my absolute favorite modern 5.56 rifles. See if I can get lucky and do a red dot 250-yard hit. 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 Yep, hitting solidly at 250. It's quite windy out there today, guys. Probably about a 10 to 15 mile an hour crosswind. Still pulls my facial hair. I have a bald spot in my beard. All right, and locks open. What a smooth shooting rifle. To this day, I love this gun. All right, let's talk about Jason's firearm. And yeah, it's a real shame. Didn't lock open. Check and see if that barrel is loose now.
Oh, it didn't grab one.
Oh, mag's in?
Yep. Failed
to feed. Now that's a NATO spec magazine. Runs fine in the other ACRs.
Oh, it's not grabbing it.
All right. But clear it out and check that barrel, see if it loosened up. Leave that mag alone and we'll grab another ACR. Yep, it's loose. Now grab that tightening wrench and show that we can't get it to click. Now show that it's tight. Right, so it's tight and not moving, but it does not click. So the minute you start firing it, it will loosen itself and then the barrel wobbles in the receiver. Sounded like it. No?
Yeah, I got it that time.
Yeah, I thought it did. It sounded like it did. And locked open. So apparently something to do with that barrel loosening caused feeding issues, not surprising. I can only imagine what Headspace is doing. I probably shouldn't be standing next to it while you're shooting it.
That was 2 rounds, let's see.
Still tight?
Still tight.
Still tight after 2 rounds, so it took about a half a mag, or well, no, actually, most of a mag before we noticed the barrel loosened itself. We'd like to thank our friends over at Federal Ammunition for supplying the ammunition to us here at the Military Arms Channel. It would be our highest reoccurring cost. Now, they don't send it with the paycheck, but yes, it has very real value. I went to Federal when I needed somebody to supply ammo to the channel because I've been shooting Federal since I was a kid, and therefore I'm a big fan of Federal Ammunition. And if you follow the channel, you'll know I'm also a big fan of their gold line of match ammunition. So again, we'd like to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying us with the ammunition. All right, we've let the gun cool. It still has its bolt lock to the rear. Magazine's out of it, so the weapon is safe. It's on safe. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how you tighten the barrel on the ACR. This hasn't changed over the years. You see this lever? So if you lock the bolt to the rear, take this lever down and twist it, that'll let your barrel and gas system come out, okay? So you wanna put this little locking ring down, and then this will start to ratchet. To get it started, you push this little tab down. That'll allow you to bring this over, and it should click. Actually, the clicks aren't happening, but there's a little tab right inside there. You see that little, it's like a right edge, that sharp edge? That should click when it comes around. So it should make audible clicks because you have spring pushing up on it and there's notches cut to hold it in place so it doesn't walk off. But you'll notice there's no clicks. No clicks. So I tighten it as tight as it'll go. Barrel is not moving. If the barrel moves, you'll hear it clicking. All right, put this up, it locks it, put your handguard back on. Now let's do some more shooting. We've got 2 more magazines. Let's see if it walks loose again. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, and by the way, this is a tail hook brace and a Dan Haga design adapter. And if you guys want one of these on your ACR pistols, assuming you'll buy one after this video, take him up on his offer to install it for you, because from what Jason tells me, this is his gun. It's a nightmare to try to put on yourself.
Malfunction.
Oh, look at that, malfunction, which probably tells me the barrel's starting to come loose, because we've noticed when the barrel starts to loosen, it'll fail to pick up rounds out of the magazine. Oh, she's not going to cooperate. Boogered up the round a little bit there. See if we can get it to chamber. All right, so let's go ahead, make the weapon safe. We got 1 round left. Oh crap. All right, it picked it up. Barrel might not be loose. All right, so now weapon's clear, it's on safe, and let's see, barrel's loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the handguard off here. Now, remember where it wasn't clicking before when I twisted the barrel? Listen. The barrel is loose. And when that happens, your point of impact obviously is going to wander all over the place. On an IPSC kill zone challenge target at 100 yards, it's hitting all over the target. When the barrel stays tight, it'll shoot decent groups. As soon as that happens, groups go away. Take your tightening lever down, pull it over just a little bit, it won't click. And the clicking goes away, the barrel's tight once again. Fire 2 magazines, and this thing screws up. So Jason picked this gun up because he wanted an ACR and couldn't find one of the old ones, and so he ordered this thing from a distributor. Now keep in mind, these things are marked on the Bushmaster website as having a full MSRP of $21.49, $2,150 for this gun. Now, if you search online, you can find them for much less than that, right around $16.50 or so. That's because I think nobody's buying them. And there's probably a reason for that. And I think we've discovered a few of those reasons. So we did some early Instagram videos showing some of the early problems that Jason had with the gun when it first came into copper. The handguards are loose. These are the new aluminum handguards versus the polymer ones. And we were kind of making fun of it, and we caught a little bit of flack for it, but it only got better from there. And I'm being facetious when I say better. When Jason took the gun out to zero it, he fired one round and it wouldn't extract and it wouldn't feed. And he tried different ammunition, just a couple different rounds, and nothing was working. And so took the gun apart. The extractor was in place on the bolt, but it had no extractor spring. Right out of the box, the gun had no extractor spring. So Jason replaced the extractor and spring, and the gun started working, and he was able to get it somewhat zeroed. Now keep in mind, prior to this video, he had less than 100 rounds to this gun. He just put it together, got it all set up with his brace and stuff like that. He was going to have this Cerakoted black. He found the parts affordably to put the brace on it and everything, because again, he wanted an ACR. He didn't get this thing thinking it would become the problematic machine that it is. Now, one thing that he did change, these originally ship with this butterflying charging handle. It would have one of these on the other side, and they kind of seesaw back and forth, and he cut that one off because it was annoying, and he set it up for right-handed use. That's the only thing he's done to this gun outside of putting a brace on it. He's certainly done nothing to the interior other than putting the extractor spring in it that was missing from the factory. Then when he went out to shoot it, just recently, he grabbed it out of the safe, grabbed it by the barrel, picked it up, and the barrel moved. And he thought, what the heck? Took the handguard off, tightened it down, okay, fired a couple of rounds, couple of magazines out of it, and the barrel came loose again. We also noticed that the gun would not maintain zero when the barrel came loose for obvious reasons. So that not being enough, he didn't even have 70 rounds through the gun before the screws on both sides of the selector levers, which are different than the originals, what Grand Thumb calls gas pedals, these anemic little things are really bad compared to the original design, but the screws on both sides were backing out and falling off. So he had to take the screws out and Loctite them. All right, not a major deal, but again, for a gun that has an MSRP of $2,000, Loctite probably isn't a bad idea if you're using screws to hold your selector levers on. Then, another thing he noticed, these screws are receiver screws. You'll notice I can turn this one with thumb pressure. These are also not Loctited from the factory and are backing out in less than 100 rounds. So now he has to go back and take all these screws out and Loctite them, because as you shoot the gun, just about every screw on the gun starts to walk out. So, yeah, you know what? I don't want you guys to take our word for it. We're going to demonstrate some of the problems with this gun. I've already showed you the screws backing out. He fixed the screws with the selector lever. But let's do some shooting with the gun and see. We'll tighten this barrel down. We'll shoot a few magazines, and we'll see if that barrel continues to come loose. That one missed. I don't know if that was a miss or a nick. That was a miss. Did not lock open on the last shot fired, or it didn't feed. Now, we know from shooting it this afternoon that when the barrel starts to come loose, typically it won't pick up a round. The magazine's in nice and tight. Now, that probably tells us the barrel's loose, but let me show you something before you blame the magazine. Where's my ACR? Right here. Let's grab an early ACR, same magazine. Works just fine, okay? Let's go ahead and clear out the weapon, lock the bolt open, magazine's out, safety's on. Barrel's loose. So that's why we were seeing, I mean, that target, I can tell from here, the paint's all off of it, so it's hitting all over the place. And listen carefully. Get it close to the microphone. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, tighten it up, it doesn't click. No more barrel movement. All we gotta do is shoot a magazine or two through it, and it will be right back to shooting all over the place and not picking up rounds out of the magazine. Hot mess. Well, it looks like it's definitely minute a man, and this is most likely the result of the barrel coming loose. There's a nick. I thought I heard a nick. We had two misses, and you can see it's right in there. Looks like the last three, the freshest hits are center, but it's just all over the place. And again, two misses that I heard. That, at 100 yards, is not impressive. Not impressive at all. Anytime I make a video that showcases problems with a firearm that we're having, the comment section inevitably comes up with posts saying, I have a brand new whatever and it works flawlessly, it's the best gun I've ever owned, and I'm sure that's going to happen in this video as well. And for those of you with working new Huntsville, Alabama produced ACRs, I'm happy for you guys. The problem is, there's no quality control. This gun, right out of the box, couldn't fire 2 rounds because it didn't have an extractor spring. That means they did not test fire this firearm, which means their quality control measures at the plant are non-existent. This gun should have at least fired 10 rounds. I've toured many, many factories, and they test fire every single gun at a minimum of 5 rounds, but some factories as much as 30 rounds. This gun was not fired. Plus, why would they go and make changes like putting screws on both sides of the selector lever when the original design was screwless and won't fall off, plus had a more positive, larger surface area that made it easier to manipulate? They went to a smaller design that's not as positive, and they put screws in it that backed out on Jason when he first had the gun. So I guess my biggest complaint with the new ACRs is the fact that from this one sample we can see that there's very little, if any, quality assurance going on at the plant producing these firearms. Just so you guys know how a properly functioning ratcheting system on an ACR should work, I'm going to show you what it looks like on my Windham gun. Now they've made some few minor changes, like to the handle here that you use to tighten your barrel down. But when I loosen my barrel, all right, so the barrel's loose, I can take it out now. But when I come back and push that little button down, now listen. You can hear and feel ratcheting going on. So you pull it over till it's snug, fold it up, put your hand guard back on, and that's it to facilitate a quick barrel change. And it seems to work just fine on my early gun. So I struggle to get my hand guard back on there. But yeah, for whatever reason on Jason's gun, it's not working. Now guys, the problems that we found with Jason's gun, again, this is a sample set of 1, but given the volume of problems he's had, I think it's kind of indicative to the quality of the products coming out of the Huntsville, Alabama plant with regards to the new ACRs. I simply wouldn't recommend them. And that's just based upon my experience with his and then handling a few others. The quality control simply just does not seem to be there, especially for a gun that commands the price that it does. I would much rather go out and buy other firearms. You can buy a really high quality AR-15 for the amount of money they're asking for that ACR, and you're not going to have the problems that Jason is having with his. Guys, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, the best way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. There is a link down below. Follow that link and consider joining our Patreon family and becoming part of our private Patreon Facebook group and other things like that. We are not industry supported, so please consider supporting us directly so we can continue to bring you honest information like today. Also, swing by and check out coppercustom.com. And thank you for 11 years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon.